None of that matters. Like you said, it was a wasted outing. Jordan Montgomery could have just shit the bed tonight, given up 10 runs, and the Diamondbacks still would have had his back because the bats are alive, folks. 17 runs, 22 hits. The Diamondbacks offense showed up and showed out. Of course, Mr. Naysay over here is like, oh, watch them now score 5 runs in the next 2 games, which is probably what's going to happen. But
we'll see. We'll see.
I wish it was aggregate scoring, but it's not in baseball. But the Diamondbacks scored multiple runs in multiple innings. They scored in 5 innings total. They put up, or 6 innings total. They put up 3 runs in the 5th, 4 in the 7th, 6 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. Take your pick as to when they're scoring. They were scoring early and often in this game. They put up a few single-digit innings as well. This team was just absolutely on fire. When you look up and down the score sheet, multiple guys had multiple hit nights tonight. Christian Walker was 3 for 6 with an RBI. Ketel Marte just remained red
my
hot.
gosh. Yeah.
Just absolutely red hot. 4 for 6 with an RBI and 1 double. And I mean, the man is locked in a way that I don't know if we've ever seen, other than the playoffs last year. So when you talk about it carrying over from what he did last year to this year, it really feels like it's the exact same Marte that we saw in the postseason.
Ketel Marte had 4. D-backs made a lot of hard contact in this game, needless to say. But Ketel Marte had 4 of the 5 hardest hit balls by either team in this game. And just going from the top of the list here, he had 1 single that was 111.6 off the bat, another single that was 109.5. He did ground into a double play at one point in this game.
And Jesse wanted him subbed. Jesse wanted him taken out of the game.
Removed from the game.
It was wild.
Correct. That was only 109.1 off the bat, so he was clearly slipping in that at bat. And then he had another base hit in this game that was 108.2 off the bat. So Ketel Marte just continues to make an outrageous amount of hard contact, and that generally translates into results. And boy, has it over the last few days. Ketel Marte now has a 3-hit game in 3 of his past 4 games, and that'll play, Derek. That's
más
right.
fuerte. Ketel es más fuerte.
There you go.
Hitting 345 with a 990 OPS right now after tonight's 4-hit performance. Of course, a lot of other guys had good nights tonight as well. Gino, 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored, and he had 3 walks.
You did,
which is big. We need Gino to be more patient at the plate because he was slipping right into the stereotype of him being a pretty big strikeout guy lately, and that showed some patience at the plate. Randall Grichuk had the big hit that kind of broke things open.
He did, it was only a 3-1 game with 2 outs. The Diamondbacks had gotten a couple of runs in that 5th inning, and then Randall Grichuk I guess they just gotten 1 run in that inning, and Randall Grichuk came in and made it 2 more with a huge 2-out, 2-run double, and that's what knocked Blake Snell out of the game, and that's why Blake Snell left this game. Ultimately, 4 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs. It's been a rough start for Snell, as you said, but he didn't look rough in the first few innings. Like it really looked to me like Blake Snell had kind of found his way and was pitching pretty much like his Cy Young caliber self from last year, but the D-backs found a way to get to him.
Cogs with a great point. Marte has to be player of the week. He's had an incredible week at the plate, and
that's a good point.
Even at times when the Diamondbacks as a whole as an offense haven't been great, he has been very, very good. Cogs also with the super chat. We love you, Cogs. He says the return of the beer bat. Yes, sir. We got it. The bats are hot. So this bat kind of cold right now, filled with this ice cold Hot Knot IPA, which I adore. But he says return of the beer bat. Drink a cold one for me, Derek. Can we get an official statement from the Blaze Alexander fan club? The bad homer call too. We'll get there. We're right there. Actually, we're so close to being there. But let's get there. Brandon Buckingham, thank you for the super chat. Brandon says, so what's the team record for hits? D-back site said 21 was prior record, but broadcast and MLB Twitter said it was 22. Jesse, I
can look that up. Yeah,
it supposedly ties a franchise record at 22.
Okay,
that's what we have. So of course, I don't. Again, there could be some confusion on that. Sometimes it has to come from the official. Let's see. We got it from Alex. 18 hits, matching their season high from opening day on March 28th versus that's the season high. I don't think D-backs PR has made a statement on that yet. Update yet, but we will get you a clarification before this episode is over for sure. Nicholas Gruters with your super chat. Thank you so much. Nicholas says 45 of our 123 runs have come in 3 games. That can't be right. Is that right? That can't be right.
45 of our 123 runs have come in 3 games.
That's impossible, right? Well, wait, hold on. 17-16.
Yeah, and then they scored 12 the other day against the Cubs.
He's right. Holy shit, Nicholas, you're right. We average 4.3 runs per game. Otherwise, also only team with a plus run differential, 30 plus. Plus 30 and a losing record. Yeah.
And plus 30 is not a small positive run differential. I haven't looked it up, but that's probably a top 5 run differential in baseball. Also, on that note, I will say that the Diamondbacks 123 runs lead all of Major League Baseball. The Diamondbacks have scored more runs than any other team in the league. And by like a pretty decent margin. The Atlanta Braves are second with 116. Granted, I think they've played 3 fewer games at this point.
And we're missing half of our team. And half of our team is injured. Wait till they're all here at the same time. It's going to be incredible.
Imagine if they could hit when it mattered.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So let's just briefly, let's talk about this, right? Because sometimes like it is one of those things that like, can you save it for another game?
Yeah.
Do you really need to put on 17 runs when the opposition only scored 1?
No,
Can you just wrap it up? No, you don't need to. But one thing about it is keeping it going, right? And I mean, it's a matter of like not letting up just because you're up so much. It's a matter of just still trying to go out there and do your job when you're at the plate and hit the ball. And like we saw them being very effective at doing that tonight. That was absolutely a huge part of at times this team getting on a roll at times though last year was them kind of putting it to someone and then going on a roll, like just having that belief that even when you're down, you've seen yourself score 8 runs in an inning before. Right. The team tonight, shit, man, how many times have they been down by less than 5 runs, or less than 6 runs, less than 4 runs at times, right? So the fact they were able to put up 4 in the 7th, 6 in the 8th, those are late inning runs, which we thought for a little while there they were just completely incapable of doing. Sure, it was against the Giants team that was kind of rolling over there at the end. It didn't care what the score was because it already
Tyler Fitzgerald pitching the 9th inning.
Don't you dare besmirch Tyler Fitzgerald today. But I'm just saying
Pavin Smith's going to hear it for that pop-up.
He should hear it for the pop-up. He absolutely should. But Pavin
that was wild. Everybody was tattooing the baseball, and then Pavin Smith just skies it.
I do think we can acknowledge that when position players pitch, the results are generally maybe not as bad as you would expect them to be.
Especially when they're throwing 47 mile per hour.
Yeah,
up in the zone.
It's weird. It is weird. So I will, I'm not going to be maybe as hard on like anyone who gets an out. Like it does happen. Usually when position players pitch, they only give up like a run or two because, it's weird hitting 47 miles an hour.
We were destroying the ball though. At that moment in time. And then he looked like he pressed square and MLB The Show. And he just
we all press square.
He got the wheelhouse way wrong. Way wrong.
Yeah, for sure. But there's one guy we haven't talked about, and that was because this man is the man of the hour. As the founder and proprietor of the Blaze Alexander fan club, this man almost had 2 home runs tonight because his first one hit the top of the wall and was somehow ruled just a double, even though it very much looked like it was a home run.
Yeah. It kind of a weird situation. It seemed extremely close. Like I guess within inches maybe of being an actual home run. Based on the umpire that they brought on a former Major League umpire on a Zoom call. Which shout out Apple TV Plus. They have their own ways of doing these things, and I respect it. Although get the man a nice microphone because that was hard to listen to. But he seemed to agree that this was not actually a homer. But it was still a really big hit. Blaze did still wind up scoring later that inning on a Ketel Marte RBI single. Who else, right? And that was still a really big moment in the game, getting the Diamondbacks' first run on the board, and of course they never trailed from that point forward.
But then it was no doubt about it. An absolute no doubter there in the 8th inning. An Oppo Taco grand slam by Blaze Alexander.
Yeah.
That just made this lead insane and completely out of control. It was already there before that, but he just needed to pile on. And for all of these reasons, and thanks to our friends at OG's, this is also brought to you by OG's brand because it's Blaze. And we're all blazing because Blaze Alexander is our king snake tonight. 3 for 5, I think is what he ended up being. 2 doubles, 1 home run, 5 RBI. My God, Blaze, let's go. Of course, you know, how when this guy's putting up this kind of numbers, how can you keep him out of the lineup, Jesse? I mean, it just goes back to the spring training thing of how can you send him down to Reno when he was hitting and playing the way he was during spring training.
It really is. I mean, it's a testament to not all spring training breakouts being like completely fake, right? I mean, Blaze Alexander really raked in spring training, and he's come into the regular season and he's been pretty good. I mean, Blaze Alexander at this point has a 340 batting average with a 1,000 OPS. I don't know if he can maintain that for the whole season, but it's been a really impressive start. And basically how Torey Lovullo has been using him is starting him against every lefty. Mostly a DH. We haven't seen Blaze at shortstop much after some of the miscues that he made early on. I imagine we'll see more of that in the coming days. But Blaze, I mean, that grand slam was against a righty. Most of the damage that he had done this season, including the damage that he did against Blake Snell, is against a lefty, but he's also shown some pretty good things and had some pretty good at-bats against righties out there as well. And can you start Blaze Alexander over Jock Peterson against a righty? I don't think you can. But can you start Blaze Alexander over, say, Kevin Newman at shortstop against a righty while Geraldo Perdomo is out? I think you probably can, and I imagine we might see more of that in the coming days.
Just find a way to creatively get him in the lineup more. That's all I have to say about Blaze Alexander. And I think from what we've seen so far from people, they are frustrated at times with the defensive mistakes that he makes, but are willing to put up with it. I feel like the fans at times are a good judge because fans are emotional. Fans at times overreact. But for the most part, I've seen some patience with the Diamondbacks fan community in regards to Blaze and just being like, fine, he makes some mistakes. He also goes out there and at times is the best hitter on this team. So it's like, we'll take that considering that he might make some mistakes. We'd rather see him grow as a defender and earn that more playing time and just, you know, of course, continue to find a way to keep his bat in the lineup.